I have spent 85 years breathing the air of this world, watching the seasons turn from the porch of a life that felt, for a long time, like it was just getting started. When you reach this vantage point, the view changes. You no longer look at the mountain peaks you once thought you had to climb. Instead, you find yourself looking at the path behind you, seeing where it smoothed out and where it crumbled. It took me 60 years, 6 decades of striving, hurrying, and worrying to realize that most of what I was chasing wasn't actually there. I want to tell you about that clarity, not as a teacher, but as someone who finally put down a heavy suitcase I didn't know I was carrying. For the longest time, I lived my life in the future tense. I remember being 40, then 50, always leaning forward toward a horizon called someday. Someday, when the mortgage was paid, I would finally learn to sit still. Someday, when the children were settled and their lives were secure, I would breathe. We treat our middle years like a long, grueling rehearsal for a grand performance that we assume will happen in the final act. We tell ourselves that the stress, the exhaustion, and the neglected passions are just the price of admission for a peace that is waiting for us somewhere down the road. But as the years folded into one another, I realized that someday is a ghost. It is a mirage that recedes the closer you get to it. I spent years waiting for life to begin, only to find that it was happening in the steam rising from my morning coffee, in the messy arguments in the hallway, and in the quiet evenings when nothing of note occurred. The tragedy isn't that life is short. It's that we spend so much of it being absent from the only part of it that is actually real. I miss so many sunsets because I was too busy planning for the dawn. Now, at 85, I see that those ordinary, unremarkable days were not the obstacles to my happiness. They were the destination itself. There is a particular kind of stubbornness that belongs to the young and the middle-aged. We carry our pride like armor, thinking it protects us from being hurt or looking weak. I spent years holding on to silent grudges and maintaining a dignified distance from people I truly loved, all because of some perceived slight or a disagreement that, in the grand scheme of a century, doesn't matter at all. I thought that by staying silent, I was winning. I thought that by refusing to be the first to reach out, I was keeping my self-respect intact. It took me until my 60s to realize that pride is a very cold companion in the winter of life. The weight of what we don't say becomes a heavy burden as we age. We think we have all the time in the world to make amends, to say, "I'm sorry," or "I love you," or even, "I miss you." But time is a fickle thing. One morning you wake up, and the person you were waiting to talk to is no longer there to listen. I've learned that being right is a poor substitute for being connected. The walls I built to keep out the pain also kept out the warmth. Now, I try to leave nothing unsaid. I've realized that a heart with no secrets and no withheld affection is the only way to feel truly light. When I was in the thick of my career and my community work, I thought a lot about my legacy. I wanted to leave something tangible behind. Maybe a business, a reputation, or a house that would stand for 100 years. I thought of legacy as a monument, something built of brick and stone and achievements that people would point to and remember. I spent a lot of energy polishing that image, making sure the world saw me as successful and capable. I wanted to be remembered for what I had built. But as I stand here at 85, those monuments seem so small. My children don't talk about my professional awards, and my friends don't care about the size of my old bank account. When they sit by my side now, they talk about the time I stayed up all night to comfort them, or the way I used to laugh until I cried at the kitchen table. They remember the feeling of being seen and heard in my presence. I realize that our true legacy isn't what we leave for people. It's what we leave in them. We are building our legacy every single day in the way we treat the grocery clerk, the way we listen to a grieving neighbor, and the kindness we extend to ourselves. It is a soft architecture made of moments rather than materials. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn was how to stop. For 60 years, my identity was tied to what I did. I was a mother, a professional, a volunteer, a doer. When those roles started to fall away, when the house grew quiet and the office keys were turned in, I felt a terrifying sense of worthlessness. I didn't know who I was if I wasn't being productive. I felt like a ghost in my own life, drifting through rooms that no longer required my constant labor. I was afraid of the silence because, in the silence, I had to face myself without any distractions. It took a long time to understand that stillness isn't the absence of life, it's the beginning of it. There is a profound courage in learning to simply be. I had to realize that my value wasn't a paycheck or a clean house. It was the quality of my soul. Learning to sit on my porch and watch the birds without feeling guilty about an unfinished to-do list was one of the greatest victories of my later years. We are not human doings. We are human beings. When you finally stop running, you realize that the peace you were looking for was never something you had to earn. It was always there, waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it. If I could go back and speak to my 60-year-old self, I wouldn't tell her to work harder or see more of the world. I would tell her to look at what she already has with new eyes. I would tell her that it is never too late to start living with radical honesty. We often feel like by the time we reach 60 or 70, the story is already written. We feel like we are just skimming the final pages. But the truth is, the most important chapters are the ones we are writing right now, because they are the chapters written with the benefit of wisdom. You don't have to wait until you are 85 to have this clarity. You can decide today that you will no longer miss your own life. You can choose to let go of the should-haves and the what-ifs that act like anchors. I've learned that aging is not a process of losing, but a process of refining. We lose the fluff, the vanity, and the noise, and we are left with the gold. These years are not a decline. They are an opportunity to finally live without the mask. Don't wait 60 years to realize that you are enough, exactly as you are, and that the beauty of your life is happening in this very breath.